Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hello. We are now in literature review module, which is a very important aspect of research, where we need to do research. When we need to do research, we have to do literature review because without literature review, we do not know where the current knowledge is, and because of that, we need to find the current gaps in knowledge through doing literature review. We have already seen in previous class about the sources of literature. We have discussed about where, in what form, where the current knowledge about the topic is being kept. And we also have looked at which one are suitable to be used in our literature. So here is a list of the sources of literature that we can use and being ranked, the journal articles to be top of the list, and then conference papers, thesis, dissertation, textbooks, and research books, etc. And we must make sure that we follow this list in terms of the percentage. Yeah, so most of our work will be based on journal articles. And then we also have a look at this spectrum of qualities of papers as we are using uh, the papers for our research. So this differentiation can be seen from two aspects. First, in case we are uh, reviewing the papers, I mean, we're doing literature review, so we're looking for sources of papers, for sources of the published articles. Then we look at where the sources are. So we see from the right will be predatory journals and conferences, and on the left be index journals. So we have seen that the higher quality ones are in the index journals. So we have seen this in previous video, and I'm not going to go to discuss further about this. The other part, why it is important for us to know the qualities of the publication is later when you have done your research, you want to publish, then you can also look at this and see whether you are publishing in predatory journals or low quality conferences compared to in index or flagship conferences. Right. We go on to this was one of the last slides in one of our previous video where we look at the sources of information: Google Scholar, Science Direct, Scopus, thesis books, etc. And only a few of your references can be from credible websites. Wikipedia, blogs, etc. should not be listed references. Now we go on to, this is basically like a review of previous knowledge that you know already from previous videos. But now we go on that slide. We are looking at a search on Google using a term or combination of solar heating. So if we put solar heating without any Boolean operator or any other marking, then we'll get 448 million results in 0.25 seconds. So it includes everything from Wikipedia, from Department of Energy, from people selling solar heaters. And we see here all images of shopping, videos, news, and so more. So we have solar heating. This is anything to do with solar, anything to do with heating. But if we want to be a bit more specific, then we go to put an inverted comma there. We come solar heating as an expression. So that reduces the number of results to 5 million, from 448 million to 5 million. And so we can see here solar heating. So anything that has solar heating uh, included. Still, since it is in Google, anything to do with images, shopping, videos, news, and so on are all included. That's why it is 5 million. If we are interested only on the academic or on the research scholarly publication, then we do not search in Google. We search on Google Scholar. and we put solar heating on Google Scholar, then we are looking only for the published research on solar heating, right? So from the 5 million, now we have reduced to about 350,000 results. And we can see here, we can even sort it or choose the range since 2024, that means the latest one, or 2023 or 2020, and we can see how the numbers will change. So in this case, we can find that even the latest one, we can find 2024, for example, then we can look at the numbers being changed. So like now, it still have all of them. That's why it is 300,000. Now, if we want to, we go to Science Direct, for example, which it zooms in further to look only for the quality journals and research articles, and we have gone down from 300,000, 350,000 to 20,000 results for solar heating. And if you go to Scopus, then it becomes 19,000. So what we are doing is basically we are filtering from all the total whatever is in Google that we found just now into something that is uh, only related to very good quality publications. So we should be safe if we depend on Science Direct or Scopus for sources of publication, or if you find a publication, you check whether it is on Scopus or in Science Direct, then you should be okay. Uh, so the issue about the quality of research is very important. The quality of source of research to be a basis for our publication is important, because if we use, say, predatory journal um, article that was published in in a predatory journal, then we have a problem, because um, the research or the application is not properly reviewed, so it doesn't reach the standards that is expected to check the veracity, the reliability of the results, and so on. So the validity of the results. So because of that, the findings and so on that you use, if you use those, then the findings could be erroneous, right? Could be wrong, could be not valid, and finally that will affect the quality of your own research. Because of that, it is important for us to make sure that we have proper results, proper basis, proper basis, uh, uh, by using findings from reliable and quality publications. Now, once you have got the literature, okay, once you have got the literature, the issue now is what do we do with it? So as you are reading and shifting through the literature, then you need to at least do these three things. Number one, you read the title. Is it something relevant uh, to your research? Is abstract, whether it is whether again it is the relevant and useful, and finally, what is the conclusion? And then you have to make a decision whether this you want really to use this. You are you going to use this in your work because it has something to do with your work, relevant, or not? Yeah. So you decide that. If yes, then you can read and you can pick up the content and write what is called as an annotated bibliography. We'll talk more about annotated bibliography later, okay, which is very important that you do proper annotated bibliography. The other thing that you can use is you can use the paper for what is called as networking. Okay, networking means you go through the paper, and then as you go through the paper, you look at the references, the list of references at the end of the paper. So normally they'll have the list of references, and what you do is you look at the references being used, and again, that can become a basis for you to connect further with other articles. So you go to that, you find out, you look for these papers. yeah, from, of course, from Google Scholar or from Science Direct or from Scopus, get them. So you grow your uh, database, for literature by again downloading and reading the references, the list of references, and then as you see, by starting from one paper, okay, you can get more and more and more relevant, useful article from to be used in your research. So, what is an annotated bibliography? Annotated bibliography is a report of each relevant and useful article. You full citation according to the chosen citation format. Okay, so you write the full citation. Do not just write a simple title or simple author, but you write the full citation. For example, you have already chosen to use Harvard or APA or Chicago or Vancouver citation formats. Then you write the full citation according to those formats. Or now it is almost automatic. If you go through, for example, Science Direct or any of the articles, normally they can even provide their full citation according to our chosen format. They just copy and paste. So you can do this in Word. Okay, so you copy, put the full citation according to the chosen citation format. And then number two is very important. Just summarize maybe in one or two sentences, what does the article say and what are the main findings. Use past tense and use proper in-text citation. For example, you are reading a paper by Bill and Wong. So what did Bill and Wong say? What did they do? What did they present? So you can say, for example, Bill and Wong presented a 20-year longitudinal studies and offered a convincing argument on something. All right. And maybe another one, Watabe 2024. Okay, Watabe 2024 and Bill and Wong, you already have listed in the at the of your summary. Okay, so you have that, and then you write what Watabe identified the main factors. What are the main factors? And then maybe you have another thing about Watabe. Watabe not only identified the main factors, so the second sentence or the second paragraph, you're going to say Watabe 2024, what else? So maybe one or two or three things that is important coming from Watabe. Same thing like Yadid Mustafa, Mustafa, Ali et al. And so on. So like this, for example, Yadid Mustafa talk about similar topic. For example, you are doing topic about supply chain problem, for example. Then you go to the internet and you found Yazid and Mustafa studied something, and then Mustafa reported something, and Ali described something. So these are the three relevant articles that you found. Okay, and then the next one, Lee and Yi reported correlation between student reading habit, and then Wong et al. Challenge the conclusion by Li and Ying. So, like this, for example, you see the relationship between Li and Ying. Li actually reported a correlation, okay? But Wong et al. Challenge, that means disagreed with the conclusions of Li and Yin. So this it is possible. So you report that there are differences of opinion between Li and Yin and Wang et al. Okay. So and then we go to the last one. John used the same method but added nanomaterials. Abu Bakar carried out experiment using nanomaterials. Davis and Bill introduced nanomaterials, and so there are maybe some papers because we are doing some research on nanomaterials. So you go and you found John did something, Abu Bakar did something, Davis and Bill did something, and so on. So you put that together, and you pick up what are the main things being said by each respective researchers. So as we mentioned before, a literature review should occur twice in the thesis. So as you have prepared the annotated bibliography, then you are ready to write the literature review. So how are you going to write literature review? So there are some points that's important. Number one, literature review should occur twice in the thesis, in the background problem formulation section of chapter 1 and in the whole of chapter 2. This is normal. Okay, chapter 1 is uh, the background problem formulation, and chapter 2 is the whole chapter is called literature review. Why literature review occurs not in the literature review chapter, which is chapter 1. Chapter 1 is not a literature review, but still it has to occur because each you are going to identify the problem, and identifying the problem can only be done by reviewing the literature and identify the knowledge gaps, yeah, from the literature. And in chapter 2, literature review should focus on previous work, the methodology, the theoretical underpinnings, research methods, yeah. And so then you have a taxonomy or structure where you can see the contribution or whatever that has been uh, presented by previous researchers in your particular research problem that you're looking at. You can do at their examples, and from there you may learn something for your methodology and also for later when you want to do the discussion about your work. And literature review is not an expanded bibliography or a disjointed summary of paper and article. It should not consist of extracts and from abstract of papers. Yes, sometimes, well, I've seen in my external examiner life, seen a literature review chapter, which is written based on mainly copies of extract of papers. Yeah, when I took a certain section from the literature review and put inside Google, then we can find that paper exactly. It is from the extract of the paper. So that should not be done. Should never be done. And literature review is critically interwoven write-up, identifying different approaches, similarities, contradiction between conclusion, analysis of strength and weaknesses. So this is important. The very important from the critical uh, thinking, critical analysis, yeah, point of view. That's basically the PhD and the MPhil of it. If it is just if you write a literature review only based on copies or expanded bibliography, or just even just a simple annotated bibliography, then there is nothing there. Anybody can do it. Yeah. But what we want is not that. We want you to be able to analyze, compare, contrast between all the various papers or sources, and finally make sense of them and develop that into your own. Okay. Here is a hypothetical example of a set of papers or articles on wind turbine development in Malaysia. For your information, this is only hypothetical. It's fictional, so you cannot find these references Ali, Davis, Wong, Musa, and Lee in the internet. No, but I just made this up, all right? Okay, so if someone was supposed to write a literature review on wind turbine development in Malaysia, then there are two approaches to it, of course. The simple one, which is not recommended at all, okay, is to just write what Ali did, where did he do it, what type of speed, what type of turbine, what was the method, and finally what is the results. And then after that, you do for David, Wong, another third paragraph, and the fourth paragraph about Musa and Lee, and so on. So this is linear, very the simple way of doing it, but that's not the what is expected at PhD and MPhil level. So research, literature review is not like this. That's not literature review even. It's just a matter of you did basically you just explain what these people did. What is expected is for you to compare, contrast, and analyze critically between these. Okay, the second step maybe is to look into the just horizontally. All right, so you compare between Ali, Davis, and so on about where they did, about the wind speed that they use, the type of the wind turbine. So you can describe the Ali, Davis, and Wong use three-bladed horizontal axis, and Musa and Lee use vertical axis, although different Golov and Darius, and so on. So that is a better way, at least. Okay, but still it's not enough. So at least now you are looking at not explaining each paper, the whole of the paper, but now you are looking at what are the content and comparison between what they did. Okay, so that's the second way of doing it. So it is horizontal like this. But what we are expecting, the best one is not even that. Okay, so it's more now you look into critically about what are the results, what are the differences, what are the similarities, and so on. So maybe you want to analyze about, for example, just look at these two. Okay, both did in Sabah in Kudat, but they use different wind speed, yeah, that they use. So maybe you want to ask or critically examine why they have different wind speed. Okay, so that's number one. And they use only they use both use horizontal axis three-bladed, but one doing laboratory test. This is CFD. So you may want to comment in terms of this not validated results and about this good results. What about the COP? Is COP good for this one? What about COP of this one, which is 24%? Or again, is there any COP inside here? So you need to look into all those details, yeah, of the differences and so on, and the sources of the differences, and their findings, which are the one that's going to be more relevant for your work. For example, from here, you say that you are going to do your, after looking at this, you see that Kudat seems to have the highest wind speed and being done here. And now if you want to do um, your own work, you are looking at Kudat. Maybe that could be something that you want to uh, look at. Maybe from here, the takeaway from this whole analysis, what is it? Okay, and maybe three-bladed horizontal axis is the best. From here, maybe vertical axis call off is better, and so on. So these are the things that you need to look. And then in terms of study method, they found problems with using this and that and so on. So again, those are the things that you want to make use inside your own work. Not only looking at this, they did that, and that's it. That's all. Okay. So what's important is for you to be able to pick up. Okay, what are the good and the bad, and what is the good, the bad, and the ugly from each of these articles, and see whether you can make sense of what they are doing, pick up the best practices maybe, and maybe certain findings that you can use in your own work. So those are the things that we want to look at inside your literature review section. So this can, of course, as we said, literature review can occur even in chapter 1 or in chapter 2. Right. So we do not want, for example, as we said, example of poor literature review, where somebody just say, okay, this author did that, and then Yuan did that, and Swapan Kumar did that, this, that. So it's not really, you do not have any connection between them. Yeah, just a summary of what they did in each of their own work. So this is very linear, which is not acceptable at master's and PhD level. So this is a set of slides that I took from Dr. Noor Adwadi bin Cik Sidek, where he gave an example of how he proposed that literature review can use statements like this. Okay, so these are some of the statements that you can use inside your research. we can look at, um, you can copy any of these, okay, and look at how each of the statement can be used, because this has some varying very various types, so that your thesis become better, or your proposal become better, because the way it is written. So sometimes we have the author as the subject, okay, so the author compared what, okay, studied, so this is the most popular way of writing. In fact, we see from annotated bibliography just now, we see that we say what are they said what, or presented what, and so on. So this is very good if we can use this, or we can use time frame in 1981 and so on. Okay, 30 years later, Smith in 1950s. Yeah, so this is one way of doing it. And research topic as a subject, similar study in this area, one study by Smith, and so on. So if you have written your annotated bibliography properly, then you should be able to write this easily. Okay, so later we'll see how it is written. So this is another one. Okay. One important thing is for us to make sure that the verbs showing similarities, differences, agreement, disagreement between studies by the researchers are included inside your literature review. This is the one that actually shows you put thinking into the writing. If you just write the annotated bibliography, you just write this did, this person did that, this person did that, this person did that. Okay, that's not enough. What we want to see is, where are their similarities? Where are their agreements? Where are their disagreements? Okay, so we want to see this, and these words, because these words shows the thinking, the critical thinking part. If you do not have this, then you do not show your critical thinking part. So what is similar? So the verb that we use will be similarly, likewise, also, again. In this segment, we say however, on the other hand, conversely, nevertheless, and so on. So we see there are other expressions that can be used. On the other hand, similarly, rejected, confirmed, inline, expanded, narrowed, explored. Okay, so all these are the connecting verb, the connecting verbs weaving the various literatures. You cannot write this if you do not have at least two literature. Okay, A disagree with B. You cannot have, if you wrote only one literature, then you cannot say somebody disagree with himself, yeah, himself or herself. So there must be two literatures at least. So this is what we are doing. So if as we have more literature about that particular topic, then you're going to have a lot of this. So even maybe A, B, and C rejected what has been said by X, for example. So this is what we want to see inside the literature review. Right. Now we go to citing and writing references. I think most of you are already aware about this, but I just give an example, very simple example. Uh, there are essentially two methods. The detail will be you have to go to the actual style. We call it style, yeah, Harvard or format, style or format. So Harvard, APA or Vancouver or Chicago and so on, triple E. So, but essentially there are only two types. Mainly, one is author year. That means you have like David 2016, Ahmad and Omar 2013, or 2030. That's one. The other one, of course, is the number in bracket. So now we look at author year first. So as far as author year is concerned, when you use author year, always only use surname. So like my name, for example, Omar bin Yaakob, forget that this about Omar bin. You just use Yaakob. So this is uh, how we write. If we have many names, how many names we have? We have 5 names. We just use one the surname, one surname. Okay, and do not use any initial. So OB Yaqub is also not correct. Yaqub OB is not correct. When we use author year, never use any of those additional words or initials. So it's only one name here, right? So use one surname, and then it comes together in tandem with this. The list of references must be arranged according to alphabetical order of the surnames. So it is not order of appearance, but it is order of surnames. So we give an example here. A summary of research in the field of tidal turbine is given by Walsh, 1981. Okay, and then area 2011 developed a novel concept of hydropower device and so on. So we can see that each of the citation, this is called a citation, yeah. Citation is given in author year, and we can see here et al. Okay, I think many times we are going to see et al. This is Turan et al. Okay, we can et al. Means yes, et al. Means and others. So the dot, okay, the dot is after al because this is alia. Okay, this is the original full Latin word is alia. So the alia has been shortened to al. So always the dot must be correctly put. You cannot put because some people put at dot al dot or at dot al. There's no dot. So the dot should be after the al, yeah, after the al. So it means others. If you have 3 or more authors, then you use et al. And then this type is normally people use author year. Example of author year format is Harvard or APA. So if you go to search Harvard format, then you see that it is telling about how to write the author year way of citation, and APA also give similar way author year. There are slight differences between Harvard and APA. You have to be aware about that. So if you choose to use Harvard, then you just continue to Harvard. Both are author year, but there are some minor differences between them that you have to also got to be aware. Yeah, for example, in terms of the list of references, the way references are written is also slightly different, and also some other things. Okay, so when you have a paragraph like that with all the citations given in author year, then the references here is listed at the end of the article or the end of thesis like this in order of, not order of appearance, order, alphabetical order. So since V, although Valje appeared earlier, but since V is at the end, so Valje at the end. So here we write the full citation. We write the full citation. Even there are many names, you have to write full. Like this, for example, Ariel has full all the names, and we have the title and also all this. So the way we write this, what is included inside here, what is the content of the full reference is given by whatever format. So this format will tell us how to write this actual one. And our reference is not complete until we have followed them all. For example, in Harvard, for example, there must be page numbers and there must be volume for journals, yeah, volume, issue, and page numbers, yeah. So this is something that we have to do when we are doing the citation using author year. The other way of citation is using the numbers in bracket. So at the end of the when you want to cite something, then you use the number in bracket. So by vulgar bracket 1, or you don't even write vulgar, you just write reference to, or you just write 2. There's no problem. Studied by 3 here. Yeah. So we see that this is the same paragraph, similar, but it's just the way references are written, citations are given in terms of the numbers in bracket. If we use this, normally the format is called Vancouver or Triple E format, then we list this according to the order of appearance. Well, they appeared first, so we put it first here. And then number 2 is area at all, yeah, and so on. So number 3 is Turan, and finally, this number 4 is Bachan. So we have to make sure that this do not confuse between the author year and number in bracket. If you use number bracket, it comes together as a package. You must list it according to the numbers, and these numbers are according to the order of appearance. But when you use author year, you do not put any numbers, no numbers at all in the references. In the list of references, no numbers. Just list the references according to alphabetical order. But when you use author year, when we use number in bracket, yes, of course, you must put the number 1 to be reference number 1 and so on. Okay, so we must recognize these differences. So we can see an example here using example where the author year is being used. Yeah. So some studies also support the conclusion that traditional teaching method hinder learning calculus. So you have a general statement first, okay, about the studies, and they give an example. So this is author year. Conclude. So what did Selden found? Okay, so this is taken from maybe from the annotated bibliography. So this part, and then Norman and Pritchard, what did they do? So they demonstrated this. So because Selden and Norman are the same, then you have a connecting word. Similar results are reported by. So it is important to have this. If you do not have this, then it becomes just Selden did this, Norman did this, okay? And later you can say that is successful problem and so on. But when you have on the other hand here, then you say on the other side. So so that's why these words are important in terms of making sure or showing, okay, demonstrating that you understand what you're talking about. It's not just a method you write down, but you really you really can compare and contrast between them. So we go to the second example where again it starts using an initial experience study described by Everly 2013. So this is what Everly found. And then it says here, this concurred. Concurred means what? This is in agreement with an earlier study. So men had already studied. So that means the current author understood that, found that Manet did that, and Everly did something which is similar and in agreement. And then they have shown about the other thing which is similar. And this relationship, the same relationship explored by Gupta. So you see the storyline is very clear. You can read the story as you go around to here. Now it reached Gupta, who reported the series experiment and so on. And then the studies above all related to wind turbine. And then saya introduced to current energy section and ocean current. And Reza did CFD. They found optimum for this. And the optimum optimal ratio is obtained by Reza was This one, well in range described by Gupta. So you go back to there. Where's Gupta? So you go to Gupta. So we see that how this researcher is able to go back and forth, yeah, trying to connect between all the various literatures. So this is what we call as weaving, and this is very important to be seen inside your literature review and chapter 1 and also in chapter 2. Another example, again, in recent years, a number of different authors have addressed the issue of the distribution of weight work literature and have come up with a different number of proposals. So this is a general statement, like previously, So just a general statement about what is coming, right? So, the like introductory statement, introduction to what is coming. So now you go to a bit more detail now. Reference 16 suggested this should be representative whoever is you understand. So put the criteria for weight watch criteria, okay? And their work was extended. So you see that relationship. So the author is showing that I know that 17 is not in isolation. They are actually connecting to, they are actually extending the work by 16. Okay. And they produce these three. So 17 produce these three weight watch. The criteria are maximum. So there are three criteria here suggested. The authors of 21 disagree with the use of energy-based approach. So you see, 21 disagree with what 17 has written, sorry, not what 17, what energy-based, which is 18 was written, okay? And why? They have given the reason, and their conclusion was confirmed by recent experimental work carried out by 22. So we see the connection between 22, 21, 17, 18, connection here, and 18 is actually part of a group, which is actually connected to 17, and this 17 is actually an extension of the work by 16. So we see that this whole thing, we can see the storyline connecting between all the various references. It's not just this reference did that, this reference did that, this reference did that. But everything is all connected and become one standard, uh, clear storyline from the beginning until the end. Here is another example, example number 4. So the second directly from one of the previous students' proposal. So in literature it says an initial experimental study described by Jawadi et al. So this is author year concluded. And then there's a this concurred with an early study by who reported and so on. And we go on to the next. So he gave another a few citations here again. On the other hand, so Chen is on the other side, and similarly, so all these words are important to show that you know the relationship between the references. Okay, so now we go on to our next part, which is about the two versions or two style of literature review. So yeah, there are two versions or two way of writing literature review. The writing itself. You're talking about the writing, not the citation, not the citation style, but we are talking about the writing itself. Um, Number one, we can see here there are what I call it as version one. Version one is some people use this, or quite a number of people use this, and I feel that this is not good way of writing. So they write one or two sentences, and then at the end of it they put citation. Yeah, for example, this is an example. A number of researchers have identified the parameters for wind energy resources estimation. The important parameters involved are speed, direction, duration of the wind. For Peninsular Malaysia, the monsoon season have strong influence on the overall energy estimate. So these are what, 3 sentences, and at the end of it, he put 3 citations. So the problem with this, if you write like this, then it is difficult to differentiate which citation actually states which fact. Are the 3 citations saying exactly the same thing? All these 3 sentences are said by all the 3, or maybe some say something part of it, and the other one say all of it. So we are not sure. Okay, so so from here we cannot see the relationship, the differences, the agreement, disagreements between them, and that's not the way to write a literature review. So um, it is difficult to show development, agreement, contrary opinions on the subject matter. So there is no clear storyline. Now, if you see in the second version, we write exactly the same information, but we write by making a story of it. Okay, so we make the citations as the subject or the characters in the sentence, giving them active roles in the storyline. So this is like reporting what's happening in a room with characters having an academic discussion or conversation. So we see that there are 3 people in the room, for example. There are Musa, 2015, Lee and Lim, 2016, and Nordin et al., 2018. So now we report what each one is saying. So first we give the like a pre-summary of what's coming. So a number of researchers have identified the parameters for wind energy resource estimation. Okay, so that's the first sentence. And then we go to each one of them and tell the audience what each one is saying. According to Musa, 2 important parameters are wind speed and direction. And then Lee and Lim concurred with that, but added that the duration of wind is also important. And Nordin also listed the same 3 parameters. Moreover, the study for formulation shows that monsoon seasons have a strong influence on overall energy assessment. So we can see how the development of this discourse, yeah, the storyline is very clear. We can start from Musa, and Lee and Lim agreed with Musa, and Nordin agreed with Lee and Lim with the 3 parameters, and he extended. So you can see that the difference between this compared to the previous one. So using version 2, it is easier to follow the storyline. The ownership of the facts are also clear. The author's own words can also be differentiated. So we can see here in the next slides. This is an example of version 1, how someone write this uh, part of the literature review using version 1. The overlap ratio is an important factor determining the performance of the turbine. Okay, and put the citations there. Experiments of 17 style has shown significant relationship. There are these people. Maximum power coefficient will obtain at overlap ratio between 0.2 and 0.25. Okay, and then the first research was done by Syed. Okay, CFD numerical studies carried out by and so on. So it's more like just a summary of what happened. Who uh, it, it just who started to do something and so on, but there is no connection between them. It's just a disjointed summary of the article or the research. Disjointed. Yeah, okay, no, the connecting words is not there. Yeah, but if we go to this same one written using version 2, we can see the difference. So this is in version 2. The same information is rewritten using version 2, which is reporting a conversation, yeah, in academic conversation in a room. So, for example, you can say Everly et al. Concluded that the overlap ratio is a very important factor in determining the performance of the turbine. This concurred with earlier study by Manet, who reviewed previous experiments of subordinate wind turbine by a number of researchers. And then these studies, which is the studies cited by Manet, have shown significant relationship between the maximum power and the overlap ratio, and that this relationship were further explored by Gupta. So we see the relationship from Everly to Manet. Manet connected the previous studies, yeah, by previous researchers to what Everly has concluded, and this relationship were further explored by Gupta. He reported a series of experiments, and he found the overlap ratios to be 0.2 to 0.25. And then uh, the author says the studies described above were all related to wind turbine application. Said pioneered the introduction of 77 for ocean current energy. Further CFD studies on ocean current turbine were carried out and reported by Reda. So the relationship is very clear from the previous Everly goes to Manet, Manet connected to the previous researchers, and then Gupta followed up, and then Said also followed up on that, and then Reda, Han and Leong also did the studies, and both works have shown that the optimum performance obtained by two-stack four-bladed turbine, and the overlap ratio was 0.21, well within the range described by Gupta. So we see the interconnectivity, yeah, between all the from Everly goes to Manet, Manet goes connected to these people who had done the research before, and then followed up by Gupta. Then after Gupta goes to Syed, then Reza followed up from Syed, and Hanan Leong, and um, Reza obtained 0.21, and which is similar to what Gupta said here. So it is very important that we see how we write version 2 will be able to demonstrate our understanding of the connectivity between all the various citations. So not just writing the facts, but more of discussing and connecting, relating, comparing between the various literature. Okay, so one way of making sure that we write uh, in version 2 is to make an annotated bibliography. Okay, as earlier we already mentioned how you search the literature. Once you find a good literature, you read the summary or the abstract, you read the conclusions, yeah, and then from there you decide that this article is good, then you must immediately make the annotated bibliography. Yeah. So how to do the annotated bibliography? First, you write the full citation according to the chosen citation format. If you intend to use author year, maybe you use Harvard uh, format or APA format, then you make a full citation of that particular article. And then you make a summary of what article says, what are the main findings, using past tense, use proper in-text citation. Right? So, like this, for example, you read the paper by Bill and Wong, and finally you take one very important contribution by Bill and Wong, because you say, well, you write down. Bill and Wong presented a 20-year longevity study and offered a convincing argument. Maybe so you have one or two sentences, yeah, to complete it. And then, for example, another one, Watabe identified the main factors as, okay, Yazid bin and Mustafa studied challenges faced by the suppliers. Mustafa reported the suppliers faced new hurdles. Ali described the difficulties faced by the suppliers. Okay, and so on. So you see that you take what exactly are these people saying? What are they contributing? What are their main findings? So from there you make a summary, yeah, of the uh, the findings or the contribution, and you write in a reporting format. You're trying to report what they contributed, what they did, yeah, how they carry out, and so on. Okay, so you can see again here we have this could be something like a similar topic. Um, Maybe it's about supply chains problem, and here could be similar topic in terms of uh, uh, nanomaterials, yeah, nanomaterials. Yeah? And we can see here, you can even already uh, say compare, relate between the two. For example, these two, Lee and Yin, 2022, and Wong et al. 2024, they are in the same field. So Lee and Yin reported a correlation. Yeah. Uh, oh, sorry. No. Okay, okay. It's different. But here, Wong et al. Challenged the conclusion by Javed. So that means there is a paper by Javed. So the summary of Wong's contribution is Wong challenged the conclusion by Javed. So because of that, you write this as the main thing that you get from Wong et al. Okay, so that's Wong's main finding. Okay, main contribution. He challenged the conclusion by Jabez. Um, and we can see John used the same method but added the nanomaterial. So that means that before here there is another description of John or maybe someone else contribution, yeah, and added nanomaterial. So if you see that if you connect what is in the previous slides to actually writing in version 2 literature review, then you can say that after presenting results of a 20-year longitudinal studies, Bill and Wong offered a convincing argument, okay, of something. So maybe you and then you add. So all these are connecting words, yeah. So if you do not put the connecting word, then they are just disconnected literature. Okay, disconnected summary of the article. But when you write in the literature review, you must include the connecting words. You must so in this case, for example, after presenting results of in contrast, yeah, in three comprehensive study on Malaysian automotive industry. Okay. So that means that these three, Yazid and Mustafa, we mentioned in previous slide, Yazid, Mustafa, Ali, they all studied about Malaysian automotive industry, supply chain, and they describe a number of challenges. So you want to summarize or bring uh, these three on the same platform, you say that they are together describing. Of course, after that, you need to say what Yazid and Mustafa exactly propose, or Mustafa only propose, or Ali at all propose, or what they contributed. Yeah? And then here, according to Li and Yin, there seems to be a correlation. Yeah, so there seems to be a correlation. Okay, and the conclusion by Javed have been challenged by Wong et al. So you're reporting. Okay. And the work described in the previous section was extended by incorporating nanomaterial by John, Abu Bakar et al., and Davis and Peer 2023. So this summarizes, you see the last slide, the uh, three, uh, the three researchers who studied nanomaterial. So this has been uh, summarized or put together with the sentence, the work described in the previous section was extended by. So that means previously some people were doing something else, but not using nanomaterials. But here, these three new researchers are doing that same part of the work, field of the work. You're not sure what is it, but they are incorporating nanomaterials. So this is how we write in version 2.